Hey everyone, welcome to Two Guys Making Pride, where Gen X meets Gen Y. Enjoy the show.
I always find it humorous at times, whether it's on the left or the right, when they promote their opinion
Hmm.
about whatever topic it is. You know, in my grandparents' days and their parents, okay, they had a lot of kids. My grandparents had like 11 or 12 kids.
Yep.
Okay, why did you have 11 or 12 kids then? Well, because you were trying to be self sufficient. You may have had maybe not a full farm.
10,
Okay.
20 acres, maybe
Okay.
something. Yeah.
But my grandfather, they had uh, an apartment building. They lived on the first floor, rented out the top two. They had property in the back. Maybe it had like a half an acre altogether, a third of an acre. But they had gardens. They had chickens. Okay. So your victory gardens.
Yep.
They tried to be as self-sufficient as possible. And then the children would, when they were old enough, they'd go out and work at the golf course being a caddy or go help in the garden.
And they were your retirement policy too.
Right. So that farming mentality kind of even transferred into
The
the
city.
urban area,
Yep.
in the cities. Okay. And every generation is less and less. Now, not just in the U.S., we have people having less and less children. Japan is the same way. China has a forced policy. It's about
Which
economics.
they've just changed too. Now they're like, oh crap,
Mhm.
we don't have enough people, to repopulate.
Yeah.
They're all old. They're all going to be dropping dead. So now they're saying, no, have kids, have kids. After forcibly sterilizing women for how long and killing babies.
Yes. I think since, so much life was lost during World War II,
Hmm.
you had to encourage people to have more babies in all the countries.
Yeah.
There's so much death and devastation. And you have to give people purpose to push through the challenges that we had after the Second World War. Okay. But then also it brought on the age of consumerism. So get a car, get a house. That's how it started. All the big ticket items,
Yeah.
maybe get an education, college education. But then it's changed into Starbucks and outfits and going to the mall and what have you. And people, and as inflation creeps its nasty little head in, you see that you cannot afford to have two, three, four, five, six kids.
Hmm.
Um, so if you don't sit there and in your own certain ways encourage people to have less, you know, um, people had to kind of self-regulate. Well, if I want my kid to have X, Y, Z, then I can't have more kids
Right.
because it'll just dilute the resources, and they're not the wages don't keep up with inflation. Your average person doesn't look at the economy or the economics of our country in that way. They just want to live their using the frame from this day and age, live my best life.
It's funny. A lot of my friends, I'm 54, well, 53. I'll be 54 very soon. Oh God, just, that number just sounds wrong. But we had children late, not because we didn't want kids, but because I saw a lot of my friends that had kids young that they weren't ready financially. So who suffers? The kids usually suffer.
Mm-hmm.
So we waited until we were financially able, so we could have our two kids and take care of them and do everything that we wanted to do possibly for them. There's nothing wrong with that. The point is planning it out. I've seen so many of my friends. Well, it's not just that. It's even the overall concept of, oh, I'm 18, I'm getting out. I'm not gonna stay home anymore. Or the parent that says you're 18, get the f out.
Yeah.
It used to be you had generations living in the same home, grandparents, parents, kids, and even those kids, grandkids. So everyone helped each other.
Yeah.
I saw so many of my friends leaving home at 18, 19 years old and then struggling. That God forbid they get their girlfriend pregnant, or if they're a girl, they get pregnant, and now they're struggling with their kids. I'm blessed that my mom allowed me to stay home. I mean, I left for a while, went to school, whatever, came back. Then I got married, And instead of being, hey, you're married now, get out, she was like, no, stay here until you guys,
Stack the cash.
yes, stack the cash. And that's what we did. I had a neighbor. He was 31 at the time. This is 20 years ago plus. He was 31. He was an engineer. He was still living at home. He was an engineer. He was banking money. He was helping his parents. He was helping pay for his parents' mortgage, taking care of them and whatnot. But he was also storing away money. So when he finally was ready to get married, he bought a house cash rather than leaving home at 18 and struggling and then never making it in life because he was never able to get the foot ahead. Same thing with us. My mom allowed us to stay there. We stayed there for a few years while we saved up. We got out of debt. We paid, like we were helping mom too. We were giving her money. But then, when we were finally able to, are we ready now? Yes. Then we had our first child, and then we were able to move to the property and then start building this up, had our second child. Now we're on the age where, I'd like to have another one or two, but she doesn't want to. I mean, she's in her mid 40s.
Yeah.
Not that she can't. There are women having kids in their 50s and stuff.
Yeah.
But I understand. She's 45. Yeah, she's 45. She really doesn't want to go through that again. Totally understand. I'm not going to make her do that. But and I'm 53. Going, I don't know if I want to change diapers that are my own kids. My son's 13. He's going to be having kids probably in the next 10 years because I've told him and my daughter the same thing. You guys don't have to leave. You guys can stay here as long as you're helping out, working, helping pay for everything. You guys can stay here as long as you want. You get married, they can stay here too. All the better. We can help watch your children so you can both work rather than you having to struggle. It's it's all about family and community, part of
Yep.
what we're going to go into in a little bit.
Yep.
About working together rather than being, I mean, there's nothing wrong with being independent, but when you do it just based on principle, just to prove everyone wrong, and you end up cutting off your own nose to spite your face.
Right. Or
Why?
making them get out to teach them a lesson.
Exactly.
When if they're still quasi living with you, you're able to mentor them, and it allows them the safety net to be able to explore and find their true passion.
Yeah.
Okay. And stack the cash and what have you. There's so many good things. I mean, it's relatively new in the past couple of decades that it's changed to what it is today. So it's kind of worked for thousands of years in one form or another.
And just for a short time, it went wrong. And that's where all these problems have come. I mean, all these single parents and these kids that have no mentor. Even if the father is a deadbeat and bailed, if the daughter is still living with with her parents, at least that child could use the grandfather as a male figure.
Yep.
Rather than her being on her own completely because the parents kicked her out, and now the only male figure that kid is getting are the gangbangers he's hanging out with.
Exactly.
It just irks me so much. I mean, I would like to have more kids, don't get me wrong. And I always joke around with the wife when we're someone that has a baby. Like, honey, look how cute. Don't you want another one? And she'll give me that stare like, no.
Yeah, I wanted to have 5. I ended up having a singleton first and joked that I was going to have twins. And then the second time around, I had twins. Now, we didn't try when I was still married to have more kids because we're like, man, we're going to get triplets next time, and that was a lot of kids, and it was tough financially.
Yeah.
And in part, it's the way our society is struggling. In the 50s, okay, the dad could work. Moms generally didn't work as a sole provider. Not that women can't, but moms generally have a good role, a good purpose, and the mom can stay home and be there with the kids and keep things running. And you could have a middle class lifestyle.
It's a full-time job doing that. Trust me, because
nothing but respect for, a stay-at-home mom that handles business.
With me and my wife, it's just the opposite. I'm the stay-at-home dad. She happened to have the job that paid more money. Now, Talk to guys. Oh, that's not being a man. If you're a man, you would take care of everything. Okay, but let's put it this way: the most I could make right now is about 50,000 a year. That's not terrible, but it's not that good. My wife makes 3 times that without her bonuses. That's her salary. So, hmm, tell her to stay home and not work so we can struggle and my kids have to suffer on 50,000,
Right.
or her job making 150,000, take care of the kids better. It to me it's a no-brainer. I wish I could make that kind of money.
Yeah.
If I could, I would tell her to stay home. But it's just, hey, if she's qualified at the job she has to make that kind of money. So now I'm the one, I work part time, plus I do the podcast. But, I have my job part time, but my kids are my full time work. The kids, the animals, the homestead, the podcast, everything else that I'm doing. Her in laws are here. I take care of her in laws as well. My in laws, her parents, take care of them as well. So, I mean,
You're
I'm
both contributing in the most productive ways
to
for the
make it
whole
work.
family
Right.
for it to work.
To make it work.
We
But
get
there are some guys who I've talked to out there like, well, you're not a real man if you're not the one bringing it in. I'm like, okay, so you're a mechanic making 40, 50,000 a year. She's a doctor making 300. You're going to tell her to quit her job so you can raise the family?
Yeah, and I think too many men get caught up in the gender roles. Hey, if you're a tradesman, nothing but respect for it.
Hell yeah.
Bring X amount of dollars. But you know what? You better not be too tired to get home and help change diapers
Yes.
and feed the babies.
Yes.
I'm a very hands-on dad, and I was
Yeah.
a hands-on from the beginning. For me, some people can handle not having sleep better than others.
Yeah.
So I could sit there and get 5 hours of sleep, whatever, and then go to work and do my job and function. But for a mom to sit there and get 3 hours of sleep at night and stay home and take care of three different, toddler and infants, that's going to impact the experience for her and for the children.
And for the children, exactly.
Yes, and it's not going to be a positive one.
Yeah.
So
It's like,
be the man,
yeah.
suck it up, and do 2 jobs.
I hope you enjoyed this episode. Now, please remember to like and subscribe and share with your friends. We will see you next time.